Arc fam? Welcome back to the channel. Today for review we have Masters of the Universe Origins figures. Here to the left-hand side we have a custom He-Man for the Turtles of Grayskull line. I just wanted to show him off, so I wanted to go ahead and have him in the review. Here we have the Mattel Creations Rio Blast, the Cartoon Collection Faker, Origins Terror, Origins Necroconda, Mattel Creations exclusive Club Grayskull Hero, Turtles of Grayskull Super Rare, Merman, Mattel Creations exclusive Geldor, Cartoon Collection Leech, and Cartoon Collection Voltag. I'm going to go ahead and do a one-by-one review. No comparisons in this video. I will be showing off box art for most of these characters. I will not have the comic books for most of them, but I will have the comic books for some. I'll flip through some of the pages, let you look at some of the captions or whatever. So let's get into it. First up, we have Necroconda. It is worth mentioning that all the figures in this video are figures that I have promised to do reviews on in the past and have not gotten to yet. This is why I'm going to go ahead and do a review of all the characters that I haven't gotten to in this video. For Origins, then there will be a Masterverse review that'll just cover the Horde Trooper and the Snout Spout. So, like I said, first up is Necroconda. I do have the packaging for him, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Just removing the price tag from this box, because I hadn't done that yet. So, moving the box in, here we have the artwork up top. Necroconda, reanimated Snake Men Soldier. As you can see, he is an army builder character. So basically, what the bio will tell us is that he is a character that is created by the Snake Men using dark magic to summon the dead, shed skins of the Snake Men into reanimated soldiers. So here we have Lady Slither with the Staff of Ka. We have one Necroconda down here with no hood on, that's kind of in like a ghostly form. We have a full-fledged Necroconda right here, and another ghostly form up here. As you can see, this was new for 2024. Moving down, we have Modern Posing Retro Play, the Snake Man logo, and a glows-in-the-dark shout-out, as well as the Mattel logo. On the side, we have a serpent, and the name of the character once more. We're going to look at the back next. Here is the other side, Necroconda, reanimated Snake Man Soldier. Just got another Necroconda character on the side. Looks really awesome. Oops, let's go ahead and move him off to the side. Here's the back artwork. As you can see, we have 3 different Necroconda soldiers fighting He-Man along with that serpent from the side of the spine for this box. So here we have the Masters of the Universe logo. One Necroconda up top, and then 2 more lower down. As you can see, this one has the hood and the cape. This one does not have the hood or the cape, and this one has the hood and the cape, but the hood is down. So that's pretty interesting. Of course, with this character, you have different ways to display him. So we'll get into that in just a moment. Alright. Opening the side flap to the box, it just shows that you can interchange the snake tail with the legs. On the inside of the packaging, in the cardboard insert, you'll find a slot housing this art card, which just shows off the same Necroconda from the front of the box, but going in the opposite direction. That looks pretty cool. You also have the Masters of the Universe logo up top. Turning that around, here we have a bio. Necroconda, reanimated Snake Man Soldier. The Snake Men leave nothing to waste. Every Snake Man soldier sheds its skin prior to serving in King Hiss's army. The slithering sorcerers then reanimate these skins to create undead Necroconda, the wriggling wraiths that haunt heroes with their life-draining fangs. So that's pretty cool. It just tells you that the Necrocondas are basically just shed skins that are brought back to life. Moving Necroconda back into the frame, You can see that I have him set up with his legs. He also comes with the Lady Slither snake tail, which I'll get into later on when I do part swaps. So let's go ahead and bring him in for a closer look at the head. Give me just a second. As you can see, the head is just a reuse of King Hiss, just painted in this nice metallic-y pearlescent blue. Here is the skin tone a little bit closer up. As you can see, the eyes are painted with a glow-in-the-dark plastic that's also used on the mouth. Moving down, we have the Snake Armor Skeletor chest armor that is painted with a gunmetal up top and then cast in a glow-in-the-dark plastic. The eyes are also painted on this with the same glow-in-the-dark paint that's used in the mouth. Moving down, we have a complete bear arm on this side for the lower arm, along with a King Hiss / Fangor upper arm. That's also used on, I think, Snake Armor He-Man. This side we have a King Hiss arm, completed with the glove, which has some nice detailing and possible heraldry of the Snake Man on the gauntlet. And then we have the bear hand. Moving down, we have Snake Armor He-Man's loin piece, which of course has the snake logo with a sword through it, which basically means a snake hunter symbol, but of course that could technically be used for anything. I mean, it's just a snake with a sword, so that could be anything that the creators want to imagine. On the side, we also have the Snake Armor He-Man Serpent Claw, which this is removable, just like the He-Man one was, and that's just cast in a translucent green glow-in-the-dark plastic. Actually, this is not glow-in-the-dark. Sorry. The weapons are not glow-in-the-dark. They're just cast in a translucent green plastic. As you can see, it's a different tone than the actual gauntlet. This does not glow in the dark while the gauntlet does. Moving down, we have basically Fangor's legs, because you have the King Hiss upper legs with the 2000X Skeletor lower legs. So that's what they also used on Fangor. So that's pretty cool looking. We, of course, also have this soft goods cape that is hooded and has this Batman-style rips at the bottom. That is, of course, fed through the armor, and the armor is buttoned over top. We'll remove that here in a little bit. We have Fangor's sword. Let me lay this figure down real quick. We have Lady Slither's dagger, and we have Snake Armor He-Man's claw, and 2000X Teela, as well as Lady Slither's sword. Sorry if there's any audio issues. Unfortunately, my filming space is near my laundry room, and we are currently washing laundry. So, if you have any issues with that, I apologize. I'll try not to have that happen again in my videos. Anyway, we can go ahead and remove this sword and pop the figure in half. It's just a nice little tug, and that'll come undone. This, of course, is removable from the regular loin, and you just have the standard belt that's used on most Master Universe characters. There are some exceptions. Now we're going to go ahead and bring in the snake tail, which it has been shown to just pop on like this without this piece. But I personally like to go ahead and do this, pop it apart once more, and place this over top of the snake tail, just like so. Give me just 1 second. Wow. I know it works because I've done it. There we go. Pop that over the snake tail, take the torso, move the hand out of the way, and snap it right on like that. And here we have the snake tail version, which could also be used as the ghost tail. Tail articulates right here. Of course, at the top where it connects to the torso, has another ball joint right here, so it does go side to side, as well as roll around and spin. And then below that we have another joint that just spins, and then we have this extra tail piece that's technically a separate piece that's pegged and glued in. They've used this tail on multiple different figures, and you will see that they've changed this piece around a lot. For the merman, which I'll go ahead and bring that in real quick, they just took and added a fish tail to the end instead of the snake tail to the end, but otherwise the tails are exactly the same. For the Super Shredder for Turtles of Grayskull, they also just added a knife tail end instead of the regular tail. So there's a lot of different things that Mattel's done with this tail piece in the very back, so that's pretty cool. Moving on with articulation, head can look up about that far, down a little bit, swivel side to side. Arms can go outwards, T-pose. They can go forwards and backwards. Swivel at the bicep near the elbow, not up at the top. Near the elbow is what I should say. Bend at the elbow. And then you have this piece, which of course is a separate loose piece for the gauntlet. And the hand spins and hinges on either side. Moving over to the legs. Of course, this would not be hindered if it was on the figure, so I'm just going to go ahead and show that off. Legs go outwards in a split, even with this piece on. So they can go forwards about that far, backwards about that far. I'm not going to bend it at the knee because I don't want to break it, but here. It would bend at the knee like this. So that's just the simple joint that's on all the knees. So same thing for the other side. So then you have spin at the boot cuts. Of course, these are removable. Then you have hinge at the ankles, as well as rocker. Wow. There we go. Rocker side to side, so you can get some nice spread out poses with those legs. In this case, with just the legs. But anyway, that's how that would look. Of course, we can put the weapons back in Necroconda's hand. We just have the Fangor sword and now the Lady Slither / Tila sword. I almost said later Slither. I don't know where that came from, sorry. You can just plug this piece in. It is worth mentioning this claw piece is loose, so it falls out very easily on mine. That's very unfortunate. Right now it's doing fine, but it's easily knocked out just by a simple touch. So that is a little bit disappointing, but I think it's fine. Moving on, we're going to go ahead and do another Snake Man character. I'm going to try to avoid cuts. I'll just talk through the transition period. Here we have... Sorry about my finger. Here we have Terror. Terror is a character that was supposed to be released in the 1980s toy line as the last, I believe, possible Wave 9 figure set. He was supposed to come with Slamurai, the Snake Troopers, Strobo, and Lord Grasp. But that didn't end up happening, but so far we have got a lot of those characters in Origins. We have gotten Slamurai, Terror, Lord Grasp, the Snake Troopers. We have not got Strobo yet. Oh, and Plasmar. That was the other character that was going to be released, and we have not gotten him in Origins yet either. But Strobo and Plasmar have been teased on artworks, so I'm sure they're coming. If you couldn't tell, this character uses a Whiplash head, Ratlord neck and chest. We have a Trapjaw little chest piece and arm cannon. In the vintage line, this chest piece was removable, so that would have been easy to do vintage-wise. This one is glued on. You have the Ratlord arm, Ratlord loin piece, which is also used on Rattlehood and Fangor in the Origins line. We have Mosquitor's legs, complete with Mosquitor's boots, and then of course Ratlord's torso comes along with that tail. This figure does not have a rattle on the inside, but I did add one myself, so I don't know if you could hear that, but I added that rattle myself by dropping a little bit of beads down inside. Tiny little metal ball bearing beads. Sorry if this guy's head's off camera sometimes. It's kind of hard to keep the camera angled right with such a tall character. There we go. Articulation-wise, head can look up on the neck and spin at the neck. Regular head cannot look up, but it can spin. As you can see, it's just pretty much limited by this double chin that Whiplash has connected to the right lower neck. So basically all the motion you're going to get forwards and backwards is in the neck, and rotation at both the neck and the head. Arm, outwards, bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow, hinge at the wrist, swivel at the wrist. Of course, this is removable. All the parts are removable on this character. Arm is removable. Neck is removable. Wow. These are tight joints, but they are removable just like all the Origins figures. So I'm going to go ahead and pop him apart just to show you what Origins normally will have in store for you. We can pop this apart. Cannon, of course, comes off on the Trapjaw arm. We'll get into that when we have the other accessories that go with it. And the waist pops apart, just like that. And the boots come off. Now, Mosquitor and Terror use specialized boots that only fit this particular lower leg. That is worth mentioning, but the peg size is exactly the same. So if I wanted to take a boot from, say, this Turtles of Grayskull Merman lower leg, it does fit the Mosquitor upper leg. It just looks kind of weird because of the way it's just so thin and then goes into the boot. But there's how that would look. But this piece right here will not fit on a standard Origins connection like this piece for the Turtles of Grayskull Merman, which of course is just a reuse of the Whiplash clawful buzz-off leg. See, it will not fit because the hole's too small. You would have to Dremel out this hole larger or file down this leg to make it fit. That is just something that I wanted to note really quick. Moving on.
Really quick, I wanted to interrupt the video to let you guys know that if you haven't already, you need to subscribe, like the videos, comment down below, and ring the bell notification so that you can get alert to any of the videos that this guy posts on his channel. Now, back to the show.
Now we're going to go ahead and look at the packaging for Terror, along with the comic book that he comes with. So first up, here's the packaging. Let's move the figure off to the side. Here we have the front of the package, just has the Snake Man inspired Origins card back with the name Terror, shapeshifter with a sinister shriek. So he has a supersonic shriek, and he's a shapeshifter. Didn't know about the shapeshifter part. Well, I did, but I didn't remember it until just now. You have this nice scale texture on the Origins card, which is exclusive to the Snake Man series. You have the Snake Man logo, the Mattel logo, modern posing retro play, ages 6+. Moving the packaging around, here we have Terror in Preternia with Castle Grayskull, which is literally gray in Preternia. We have this cool Preternian landscape along with the pterodactyl from the Powers of Grayskull line. I can't remember what it's called. Turbodactyl. We have the Turbodactyl with Shirella on top. Shirella is actually going to be coming out soon as a Club Grayskull exclusive this July. Here we have the Snake Man's alien ally renders his enemies helpless with a deafening sonic roar. Includes comic book. Moving down, we have the modernizing and celebrating the original 80s Masters of the Universe action figures call-out. We also have Rise of the Snake Men. The dreaded Snake Men have arisen from the darkest depths of Snake Mountain. King Hiss and his repulsive reptiles have vowed to destroy He-Man and his heroic warriors. Will Eternia fall to the slithering swarm? find out by reading the comic books, I guess. Here we have the callouts, plug, laser gun, hook or pincers into arm, replace with long strike head. Here we have the cross sell, the first time they ever did an Origins and Cartoon Collection cross sell on the same card back, and I do believe the only time, in fact. But anyway, we have Lord Grasp, Venomous Viper with a crushing claw, Terror Shapeshifter with a sinister shriek. Then we have the Cartoon Collection logo, Stratos Winged Warrior, Merman Ocean Warlord, each sold separately, subject to availability, colors, and decorations may vary. Here we have the recycling things that tells each thing's recyclable and the recycle separately. There's the barcode, empowering the next generation through play, which I did mention that in my Masterverse video. They have now changed this slogan to empowering generations through play instead of the next generation. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and move on to articulation. Now for articulation, of course, the only thing that I have not showed you is the head without the neck extension. So here we have the head. It can look side to side, as well as tiny bit up, tiny bit down. It's like very, very limited. It's kind of pointless to even move, really. But it can look side to side, but his head's always cocked sideways, no matter what, when you look to the side. Anyway, we can go ahead and remove this. He does not have the hooks on the side of his belt to hold all of his accessories, so he can only have one at a time, unlike Trapjaw. I wish they would have modified this belt just to have that, but I mean, it's Mattel. They like to reuse stuff and save money as much as possible. Here we have the hook accessory with this very cartoony, simple-looking hook that has absolutely no point to it. So it clearly could not stab anybody. It's probably just used for the ziplining only. We can remove that. Then we have this claw accessory or pincer. It is not articulated, even though it looks like it might be articulated. It is not. That just plugs in as well. There's how that would look. So in a battle, I guess, if you brought in Geldor right here, he could just pinch onto this accessory and hold Geldor captive. So that's pretty cool. Geldor can't go anywhere. Now he comes around with his hand, grabs Geldor's arm, and Geldor's dead. The shriek was too powerful. And he took the weapon away. That's pretty cool. Since we use Geldor for the demonstration, who better than Geldor for the next figure to be reviewed? Here we have Geldor outside of his packaging. He comes with a He-Man shield, a custom axe that was used in the comic book that he is from. Of course, he's from a 1980s comic book. We have the Grizzlor / Ram Man axe, and then the Ram Man axe. This has also been used on Koldar, I do believe, and Reptilex as well. So this has been reused a lot. Of course, with Reptilex, it was green instead of silver, but the rest of the time it's been silver. This was also used with the Turtles of Grayskull, Ram Man as well. So definitely an overused weapon, but still very cool. Of course, this has a hole in the bottom, a female adapter and a male adapter, to where you can combine this to make one large dual-handed weapon if you would like to. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that. You could just take and put one grip in this side and one hand on this side, and now you have a dual-handed axe. I don't know how practical this is, but I mean, it works. I don't really see you being able to swing this very well. I mean, kind of, but not really. So, just cool they can connect. I don't think it's necessary. We're going to go ahead and look at Geldor's packaging artwork before we move on with his articulation. Geldor, like previously mentioned, is a Mattel Creations exclusive. Therefore, he comes with the collector-friendly packaging and also comes with a mailer box. So that's just a simple cardboard box like this. Nothing special. Putting that to the side, here we have Geldor, Evil Seeker of Immorality. He has the axe that he came with, as well as a shield. This shield is actually not the He-Man shield, that's the Palace Guard shield. So it's interesting that the figure did not come with the Palace Guard shield. But there's how the front looks. Of course, that's the only artwork on the front. On the back side, we have a nice picture of Geldor, once again using the Palace Guard shield. So I don't know if he was actually supposed to come with the He-Man shield or not. And here we have He-Man down at the bottom. I guess in this battle right here, he just took He-Man's shield away from him. I don't know. Here in the back we have these demons with this woman that's being clasped by the monster in this tattered dress. And then on the other side we have another demon with this really awesome looking African style space warrior looking guy. I don't know really who he is, but he looks awesome. I'd love to see him. I wouldn't necessarily love to see her. I mean, if they made her, it'd be fine, but this guy looks cool. We really need him in the line. Also, there's Castle Grayskull in the back, so that's pretty cool. And he's actually has lightning on his sword. On his axe. It almost looks like he's calling down the power of Grayskull. I'm sure that's not true, but that's pretty cool that he has lightning on the axe. Kind of like a Stormbreaker vibe there. Before we continue with Geldor, I just realized as I was filming that I had said that I was going to show off Necroconda without his armor on with just the cape, and I had forgotten to. So here's how that would look. Still looks pretty cool. If you're going to army build this guy, I recommend having one like this, and one with the snake tail, one without the snake tail, and different interchangeable looks for the character. Sorry that I didn't show that off earlier. Now, with Geldor, we're going to go ahead and look at his armor. So here we have brand new armor that's unique to him. Comic book accurate, looks pretty cool. Have a spot for his weapons on the back. Here's how you'll pop that off. I'm not going to remove it because it's just a standard Origins buck underneath. No need to do that. Here is the Cartoon Collection Skeletor kilt / loin guard. And some Geldor boots that are custom shin guards with regular He-Man boot bottoms. And then we have Cartoon Collection lower arms. Of course, you can tell that by the smoothness of them and the fact that they're the same as the He-Man wrist bracers. Or actually, looking at this faker, they're actually different. Sorry about that. They are a little bit different. This is more of like a glove look rather than the wrist bracer look, so I don't know if it's been reused or not. Then the hands, of course, are just cast in this maroon color. And this one does not fit all the way into the socket, but it's okay for me. Geldor has this nice mustache that really reminds me of a guy off of Trucking Wars, or Shipping Wars. That's a show that I've been watching. He looks just like one of the guys on that show with his mustache and stuff like that. If you guys haven't checked out that show, I recommend it. And you'll know exactly what I'm talking about once you see him. Moving in closer to take a look at the head sculpt, you have these nicely painted eyes, along with this cool mouth design with a lot of teeth detail. But as you can see right here, there's a paint slop on the mustache that goes onto the lower chin, or upper chin. And we also have paint slop that goes onto the cheek and up towards the nose. So that is very disappointing. The paint slop continues around the mohawk onto the bald parts of his head. So that is a little bit disappointing because I did pay full price for this character as an exclusive. So it's disappointing to not get a perfect product when you order like that. There's also more paint slop behind the ear and a little bit of unpainted beard showing on this side. So I feel like Mattel could do a lot better, seeing as they are a very, very successful company. They should have a little bit more quality control, in my opinion. But overall, still looks pretty cool. This is a reuse of the Classics head, I do believe. So that's pretty cool. I do not have the classics to compare, but based on what Pixel Dan showed off in his video and what he said, it looks like they just recast it and slightly resized it, but the details are exactly the same. Moving down, like I said, just the Skeletor loin and the reuse of these wrist bracers. I know that I've seen these somewhere. I just cannot pinpoint where. And then the feet. Let's go ahead and do the articulation on the head. Head can not look up very much. It can look down, not up really. And it can go side to side. So, and it can also tilt side to side like that as well. So that's pretty cool. Nice range of motion overall. Arms can go outwards, T-pose, bend at the elbow, swivel at the elbow, hinge at the wrist, spin at the wrist, swivel at the waist. Legs can go outwards into the splits. They can go forwards. They can go backwards, bend at the knee, spin at the boot cut, hinge at the ankle, and spin at the ankle. This review is going to be a very long review, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you guys will still watch it anyway. This is just kind of like my Masterverse review that I did. Here's a closer look at those weapons. Just moving that off to the side. Closer look at this axe. And moving that off to the side, we have a closer look at this He-Man shield. That looks pretty cool. Let's go ahead and move on to the next character. Next up, we have TOG Merman. This mutant crawled right out of the sewers of Eternia to wreak havoc on the Eternians and Brooklyn boys alike. Anyhow, here's the Merman figure that Mattel released as part of the crossover with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. As you can see, Merman has this nice redesign with a nice translucent body with these nice green veins as well as new wrist bracers that are cast in a yellowish gold. We have these translucent purple pearlescent hands that were also cast in a translucent plastic of their own color. This is actually painted, not cast. I apologize. We have this nice golden armor that has been painted with this bone white on the spikes, as well as this nice shiny blue for the pearl. And for the head, we have a translucent head painted with gold for the lips, white for the teeth, metallic purple inside. The eyes are painted red with black pupils, black irises, and we have this nice anglerfish tentacle, as well as these nice fins on the head. Of course, there's gold painted around the actual eye itself. And the other hand is also cast in a purple color. Moving down, we have this translucent, actually it's not translucent, metallic blue loin piece with this nice gold overspray and a fantastically painted blue gem. We also have the Lady Slither tail redone with a merman fin that is painted with a nice metallic purple color for the end. We have a pretty gold that goes down the front of the tail, as well as a turquoise aqua blue used for the overall casting of the figure's tail. The bottom is also painted gold, which is a very interesting and well-used paint app. Here on the back we have a spot where a turtle shell or a shield from the line could connect. Removing this tail, we also have legs that can be put in the place of the tail. So here's how that would look. The legs are cast in translucent blue with the gold for the shin guards and translucent blue feet. With that, you can see the actual peg used to connect the foot through the plastic. You can see that right there. Shining a light on this figure, you can also see all the articulation points in the knees, the hips, in the elbows. You should also be able to see that there's a joint right there. The shoulder joint can be seen through the plastic also. We're going to go ahead and remove this armor on camera. That just pulls right over the head. Just like so. Remove the waist. We're going to go ahead and take this piece off. Here's a closer look at that. Kind of 2000X inspired, with a bit of its own merman flair added to it. The loin is painted in a gold color for the belt and a translucent purplish metallic color for the actual loin. Overall, it's pretty cool looking. Here you can shine a light through all the plastic to see how it glows. You can't really see my hand through it, but it is kind of see-through. Let me shine this laser through it, and you should be able to see that come through. So you can see that I can shine this red laser through most of the parts. Let's move this trident out of the way. You should also be able to see it coming through the loin just a tiny little bit. I don't know if you can actually see that on camera, but it is coming through just a tiny little bit. You can also shine it into the legs. This is not a very powerful laser. That is why you're not really seeing much of an effect. As you can see, it shines through that, and you can also see it going through the hand on this side. Repulsor blast. Anyhow, very, very cool looking. Now you can see the more veined details on the chest. And you can get a closer look at the inside of that mouth. So there's how that looks. Whoa, got blurry suddenly. There's how that looks. Pretty cool looking. This trident actually came with a Mattel DC Universe Classics Aquaman. But I got rid of the Aquaman and kept the trident. I actually traded the Aquaman at a local toy shop for some other characters. But I kept the trident for myself.
Ha 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 ha! It is mine now, you foolish mortal who decided to make the trade anyway. Steven.
Wait, I shouldn't have said the name. Sorry. Anyhow, here's how that looks. Pretty cool looking merman overall. He cost $90, which is a little bit overpriced, but worth it seeing as how rare he is. He was actually shipped from Germany. Here's a closer look at that armor. Really, really nice sculpt. I'd like to see this reused on something in the future. Not necessarily merman, but I'd like to see it reused on a new character. Maybe something like a dragon character or something would be cool. I'm going to go ahead and move that off to the side. And where exactly were we? Sorry, I had to get up and talk to my dogs. They were getting into something they were not supposed to. I think I'm done with merman. I'm going to go ahead and show off one thing with this tail really quick before I move on, though. The skin tone's pretty close to that of the Leech figure, so that's pretty interesting if you want to make some kind of Mer-Leech or something like that. Alright. Merman also came with this nice sword. Let's turn off this light because it's making my camera blurry. Here we go. Merman came with this nice sword. This is the sword that's supposed to be used with the Sketchbook series Skeletor. He's also been teased recently on the Sketchbook series Hordak and Grizzlord card back. And if you look at the original Mark Taylor sketch, this is the exact sword that was used. So I have a feeling that he is coming along with Vicron. We also have gotten announcements about Spikor and also seen the new Cyclone figure for pre-order at Target. I just realized that this comic book that came with Terror was on the floor. I must have knocked it off earlier. So here's what the comic book looks like, Leviathan's War. As you can see, we have Reptilax, Lord Grasp, and Snake Armor Skeletor.
Lady Slither, how may I be of service? Dispense with the pleasantries. That's not our way. You know why I've contacted you.
In the chambers of an abandoned snake temple, Lord Grasp hosts a sinister Rendevis. I'm not sure exactly what that word means. Anyhow, I'm not going to read any more of it, but you can look at the captions, try to read them if you can. As you can see, we have Viper, Lord Grasp, and Terror at the base of Snake Mountain, with Skeletor in the foreground. We have the Cartoon Collection Collector ship, also used in this comic book, and the Snake Troopers, which is supposed to be part of the wave with Lord Grasp and Terror. So, there's the cross-sell on the back of the comic book, which is interesting that the cross-sell on the comic book is different than the card back. Because if you remember, the card back had Lord Grasp, Terror, Stratos, and Merman from the Cartoon Collection. But the comic book has Reptilax and Viper on the cross-sell. That's pretty cool. Moving on, for the next figure we have Rio Blast. I have a short for Rio Blast up on the channel already. I use that as a way to get by with not doing a review right away on him. Anyway, here's how he looks. Very vintage accurate in overall design. Colors are very off, but he looks really cool. He's got this nice manly mustache and this nice combed over hair. And he looks like he could blow a hole right in them scumbags that try to mess with his town, because he's the sheriff. Anyhow, here you have the nice compartment with the badge and the peeled back shirt to show off the robotics inside. We have these wires that were sculpted on the vintage but are now separate pieces that can be removed from the armor altogether. They plug into the arm and into the back of the armor. So let me go ahead and plug that back in really quickly. By really quickly, I mean very slowly, obviously. There we go. So that plugs back in there. Then we can just stretch it around and plug it back into the wrist. There we go. As you can see, Rio Blast has the arm cannons that can flip in and then come back out. You have the indentation in the arm for that to work. These are actually removable from the hands. There goes the laundry that I was talking about earlier. These are actually removable from the hands. You just have to twist them and pull them, and they will slowly work their way out of the hand, just like so. And then you have this nice hand with the hole in the center. Looks pretty cool. You can also place these guns on the outside if you want to, which also looks pretty cool. Just like that. So if you don't want them on the inside, you can have them on the outside, or vice versa. So there's how that would look. Chest pops down to reveal the inner cavity, as well as this little, what's supposed to be, I guess, a gun of some sort. It looks more like a warship from Battleship or something like that. Legs flip down to reveal tiny little boats. They're not really boats, but that's exactly what they look like. It's just tiny little boats. You also have the robotics sculpted on the inside of the leg in these nice cowboy western style khaki colored pants. You have the swivel at the boot cut, hinge at the knee. Legs can go outwards. They can go inwards, of course. Forwards, tiny bit. Backwards, a little bit. Hinge at the ankle. And rocker at the ankle. So articulation is basically the same. Swivel at the waist. Head can look up, none. Down, some. Side to side. course, this piece pulls up and folds over to show off the overall cannon of the face. That's pretty cool. This piece is removable. You just twist it and pull it. As you can see, you have these little pieces. You just line them up with the holes and then give it a nice twist, and it clicks into place. Overall, Rio Blast turned out really, really cool. I actually had a hat that I've had for him for about 2 years now, waiting for him to come out, and I thought I'd be the first person to have a hat for my Rio Blast. Well, apparently, the hat's too big, because I finally got my Rio Blast in, tried it out, and it did not fit. The hat was not painted yet. It was a neon pink, because I got it from a friend's birthday party a while back when I was a little kid. But just saying, just joking, that timeline did not add up. I just happened to pick up that hat a while back. My cousin actually gave it to me because she knew that I was collecting action figures and stuff. She got it from one of her friend's birthday parties, and then I got it from her. But it doesn't fit, so that's disappointing. But Rio Blast turned out really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this video off right here, and we'll do a part 2 for this video after I show off the packaging for Merman that I forgot to show off. I am really, really not doing very good today. Here's the back of the box for Merman. Cross sale. Artwork on the side. Front of the packaging, which you can also see that there's artwork back there for that Merman. I'm not going to get that out because I don't have time in this video. There's the artwork up top. And final artwork on the side. Let's show off Rio Blast packaging, and then we're going to cut the video off for tonight. And we'll do a part 2 for the rest of the figures. Here's the packaging for Rio Blast. As you can see, we have a nice illustration of him swinging in, blasting at 2 different versions of Modulok, split into 2 different creatures. Here we have, that's Evil Horde Spider vehicle. I can't remember what it's called right now. I think it's like, maybe, it could just be Spy Door or something like that. I can't remember. And then here's the Grizzlor that Rio Blast is also fighting. Moving this around, we have the collector-friendly packaging. Rio Blast, heroic transforming gunslinger, modern posing retro play. Sorry about that. New for 2025, and then we have this illustration of Rio Blast on the front, ages 6+, and the Mattel logo. Thank you guys for watching. This will be split into a part 2, as I said before. Sorry about any audio issues and any mistakes that I've made. I'm just really, really tired right now. I've had a lot of things going on lately. That's why I haven't been focusing on my channel as much. I've just been doing shorts because they're easy to do and get on the channel. I hope you guys will stay tuned for the part 2, where I'll be doing Voltak, Hero, Leech, He-Man, and my cartoon collection faker. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And until next time, take care.